Welcome to rSlash where people get back at everyday jerks. When I worked at Walmart, I went from cart pusher to cashier to electronics to security. Sometimes, after I switched to security, when electronics was really swamped, I'd help out for a few minutes. One day, the phone was ringing and I was walking by and randomly answered it. Sir Scamalot said, "Hello, sir. This is Steam Support Services with Valve." Instantly, of course, I know this is a scam. I adore Valve and played so many of their games too. I can't believe my luck. Of all the calls to answer, surprisingly, he didn't have some weird accent. What can I do for you? We've had reports that game keys shipped to your location may have an error that prevents it from authenticating. Specifically, the game Counter-Strike. We need to validate your game keys to see if yours are affected. I forget which Counter-Strike was on sale then. This was 2008. Oh, what do I do? As if I didn't know. Well, I just need you to open any copies of the game you have and read me the CD key on the instruction manual so I can verify them with our validation software. Or on the jewel case, I don't remember that either. Sure thing, can I put you on hold for a minute while I get those? Sir Scamalot, obviously happy. Sure. So I put Sir Scamalot on hold while I called all the other area store's electronic department and warned them about the scammer and confirmed nobody had taken a call like this earlier. About 15 minutes later, I get back to Scamalot. Thanks for holding, but I can't find any CD keys. I looked all through the book and the packages. Sir Scamalot, getting annoyed. Well, sir, just open any copy of Counter-Strike and on the... Oh, Counter-Strike. I thought you said Counting Strikes, that bowling game. Okay, hold on. Everyone in the department is listening and we all laugh. 10 minutes later, I'm back on the line. Okay, I got what you're looking for. What do you need? Now, I make him walk me through how to open the box, including interrogating him for 5 minutes about how to do it without breaking the seal. Then pretend I can't find the book, etc, etc. Finally, I'm ready to read the code. First, I read him the UPC. This upsets him. Then, I read him a part number from something. Now he's livid. Finally, I ask him if he means the code on the book that says game key and has like groups of 4 digits with dashes, like he said probably 50 times already, and he gets excited again. Oh, okay, here's the game key. Okay, F as in Frank, U like uncle, C like cat. Sir, I don't think that's right. Normally a code would... No, it's F, U, C, then K like kite, next 4 is Y like yesterday, O like owl, and he swore at me and hung up. That was such an obvious scam. Valve would never call someone on the phone. They're all too busy developing Half-Life 3. Our next Reddit post is from Angry Cat. My ex-husband and I bought our home from his parents. They had the house built in the 50s. For years, father-in-law wanted to install a shutoff valve in the utility room to, shut off the water to the whole house to do some repairs. The plumber told him it would cost a large amount of money because they couldn't find the shutoff from the city water main at the street, the Buffalo Box, aka the water main shutoff valve. Since the Buffalo Box was MIA, they would have to freeze the pipes to stop the water before installing the shutoff valve. It was an expensive process to freeze the pipes, so it never got done. When we bought the house, we decided to get the shutoff valve installed. We called the water department and they sent 2 workers to shut off the water. When they arrived, I explained the problem. They went out to the front yard, walked around a bit, and told me there was nothing they could do for me. According to the 2 workers, it was my problem that they couldn't find the Buffalo Box, and that I should call a plumber to dig up my front yard, sidewalk, and city easement to find my Buffalo Box. Well, I have a background in residential real estate construction, and I was familiar with how water mains and Buffalo Boxes are installed, and I told them it was the city's issue, as they were responsible for the Buffalo Box, not the homeowners. According to these guys, as a woman, I didn't know what I was talking about and they left. They were incredibly rude about it. But peons like these think they can get away with being rude to an ignorant woman like me. Fast forward to a year or so later, I get a call from the city manager asking why I hadn't paid my water bill for over a year. I told him that I wanted to pay my water bill, but I wanted them to first turn off my water. He was a bit taken aback that I wanted them to turn off the water. So I explained what the city workers told me about locating the Buffalo box and their attitude about women not understanding those types of things. I also told him that if the city could not turn off my water, I would be happy to have free water forever, cause I would never pay another bill. We had a nice long chat about the situation, and he said that he would resolve my concerns. The next day, these same two guys show up at my house with some digging equipment and spend the whole day digging up the easement and the sidewalk. Their attitudes were rather somber, cause the city manager told me he was going to give them a talking to about how they mishandled the situation. I even got an apology. They found the Buffalo box under the city-owned sidewalk. They fixed the Buffalo box so it would be accessible and came the next day to fix the sidewalk. They asked if I wanted the water turned off. I declined, and I told them I would have my plumber take care of it when we had him install the interior shutoff valve. And then I paid the water bill. That's such a power move. Ma'am, if you don't pay the water bill, we're gonna have to turn off your water. Okay, good luck. It's such a win-win situation. Either they do what she originally wanted and they find her water main to turn off the water, or they don't find the water main, in which case she gets free water for the rest of her life. Our next Reddit post is from Caliblair. I have one incredible "the HOA isn't the butthole in this case" story. My dad is African American and went on a walk around the community park around 3 in the afternoon. He was wearing jeans, a polo, etc. Someone who had recently moved in, maybe only 2 weeks, sent an email to the president of the HOA because they were unable to attend the meeting. They said they had a photo of a suspicious person who had been obviously casing people's houses to rob them, and included photos of my dad. The president of the HOA emailed back that they were very concerned after seeing the photos, and would stop by her house to discuss the issue in person. They scheduled a time to talk and come up with safety strategies. My dad is the president of the HOA. He said the look on her face when she opened the door was priceless. He then proceeded to discuss the issue with her. Like she hadn't emailed a picture of him asking her, "Now, why did you feel concerned for your safety? And what about him made you think this man was a threat?" She didn't send any more complaints. I feel like your dad could have been like, "Oh, and by the way, I noticed that you haven't brought in your garbage can yet. I'm afraid that's a $50 fine." Our next Reddit post is from Cookie Monster 1997. A couple months back, my boyfriend and I went out for drinks one night at this cool little speakeasy in Montreal. It's actually quite an interesting place. You come in through a nondescript entrance and the place has a really nice vibe going on once you get inside. Note, this is one of those bars where the server comes to your table and serves the drinks rather than one where you order at the bar and take the drinks back yourself. We were seated at our table by the server. We ordered a couple cocktails, and then a couple more, and then a couple more after that. Each time we had to order, my boyfriend or I would have to go fetch the server so he could take our order, or go up to the bar, order, and then bring the drinks back ourselves. Then, when it came time for the bill, I went up again so he would come to our table. He came and thought we were going to order again, despite me clearly asking for the bill when I went up. So he went back to get the card machine, and it was another 10 minutes before he was back. At this point, I was quite ticked off at the not so great service and was debating whether or not I should tip him. The screen had an option for 10%, 15%, 20%, or other. I decided to just leave 10% as I wanted to avoid an argument with the server. Montreal service employees are pretty freaking notorious when it comes to the expectation of tips. Now, he prints out the receipt and takes a look at it and sees I left 10%. He then asks if we had a nice evening, to which my boyfriend responded that we did. We both thought it was just a standard question servers ask, so we didn't bother telling him about the poor service received. Especially because it wouldn't really make a difference at this point. The guy then says, "Oh, well, if you had such a nice time, then you should have left at least a 15% tip. Because in Canada, it's customary to leave a minimum 15% when the service is good." I'm guessing the reason he felt the need to outline that's how it is in Canada is because I'm a brown guy. Now comes the petty part. I responded, "Oh, I didn't know. Why don't I cancel this bill and redo it so I can tip you properly?" He said, "Sure thing, just give me a second because the manager has to approve bill cancellations." Again, we waited a good 10 minutes for him to come back with the new bill. I was happy to wait though, because once he came back, I put in the PIN and then selected the other option for tip and left him 0%. He printed out the receipt and his look of disbelief was well worth it. We got up and my white Canadian boyfriend said, "Our only tip to you is to give better service and not be so much of a butthole. In Canada, we don't really like buttholes." So to all my Canadian viewers out there, what's the deal? As an American, the stereotype I always hear is that Canadians are super duper polite. But OP is making it sound like Canadian waiters are kinda jerks. Is that a thing in Canada? Our next Reddit post is from Past Life God. This story takes place my 3rd year of college. I was taking a class where the entire grade was determined by a semester-long final project. We were supposed to be in groups of 3 on the project, but the 3rd guy in our group had more sense than me and bailed early. This left just me and Lazy Girl. Lazy Girl didn't do anything the entire semester. I would ask her to work on pieces of the project, but she always had an excuse for why it wasn't done yet. Or, in her case, started. Now, I didn't want any confrontation with this girl, as she was my friend at the time. But I finally lost it one night towards the end of the semester. I asked her to meet at my house to work on the project, but something important came up. Fed up with this one-sided partnership, I decided to air my woes at the local bars. And guess who I run into? Lazy Girl and her boyfriend drinking. She made up some BS excuse and I made a plan. I powered through the entire assignment, except for the conclusion, which I asked Lazy Girl to finish. I held out exactly 0 hope that she would finish this section. So I quickly finished it myself and turned in my project with a little note to the teacher. The note detailed how I had done literally everything for the project and that, despite my best efforts, I could not get Lazy Girl to contribute. I said that I was turning in my version and that our conclusion sections may differ, as I'd asked her to actually do that part herself. So here's a little tidbit about our final projects. We each had to turn one in. Lazy Girl not only didn't do the conclusion, she didn't turn in a project at all. She tried calling and complaining at me for not giving her credit, to which I went off on her for not doing anything on the entire project. I mentioned how I even gave her the opportunity to turn in my work for a grade if she'd only do one thing. She hung up after that, and that was the last time we spoke. This was a college class, and college classes are expensive. The only thing missing from this post is OP adding in how much that class cost, and therefore how much Lazy Girl wasted on failing that class. That was r/Pettyrevenge, and if you want to support me in this channel, you can buy my merchandise with the link down in the description.